Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be jumping back into this Fender Champ. This is a 70s, probably a 73, I think, from when I was looking at on the Transformers. And this guy just needs a little bit of work. It came in after being dropped, and the customer said that there was no sound. We did an evaluation of this on another video. Basically, what happened is this volume pot was replaced at some point and put in backwards. So we're going to replace that with a new pot. Looks like the shaft on it's bent also. No jokes there, I guess. But there's a couple other things. We need to replace the power cord as well. Going to go ahead and the customer wants this to be, operational and in good shape for years to come. So we are going to go ahead and recap it. And then while I'm in there, I'm going to do what I can to accommodate for modern wall voltage being higher than what it was when these came out. Often what can happen is we see much higher voltages in these amps when they're plugged into the wall just because the wall voltage is a little bit higher. So I'm going to show you a trick for that, replacing this 470 ohm resistor as we move through it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and dive in and get started. Also, just a note, if you did watch that JCM 800 video, the customer did buy that amp and is pushing forward with the repair, so we'll have a repair video on that coming this next week. But for now, let's deal with this Fender Champ and get it in tip-top shape. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is remove this old volume pot so I can show you what I mean when I say it was wired backwards. If you haven't worked with these before, potentiometers essentially have three sides. So you have your wiper in the middle that's then, when you turn it, it's going across and changing the proportion of being connected to either of these other two side terminals. Now, if we look at our layout here, you can see this signal wire is supposed to come up here, go to the center of this potentiometer. This side goes to ground, and then this side moves on to our treble pot. And that's the opposite of what's going on here. We instead have, now this is a shielded cable, which means it has a ground connection around the signal wire, which you want to connect on one side only. You want that to go to ground. And then your signal is going to the center pot there, but it instead is going to the right terminal when it should be going to this side. So this guy is going to the center pot of our treble when it should be this side of the pot. This side of the pot is connected to ground. It's just tacked on there. And then it's also connecting to the shield of this when that should be going to this other side. So, not good. Or rather, just backwards, basically. It looks like they did actually use the correct value, though. So the A stands for analog. That's the taper. B would be a linear taper. There's other tapers for weird stuff like W or reverse, taper and things like that, like you would find in some pedals out there. And then it looks like maybe it wasn't even that this was a bent shaft. We probably could just go ahead and reuse this pot, but it looks like they didn't break off this node here. Is used for getting a potentiometer to not spin, but it requires a hole in the chassis for that to be the case. Otherwise, you just break these off and just grab some pliers and give it one of those. Okay, so we can save the customer a few bucks. And look at that. That solder connection was so bad. That just broke right off anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just reuse this pot for now. And that'll save them a few dollars. And then we can go ahead and rewire this. I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so we've got the pot removed and all cleaned up. And again, this center wire here is going to go to the center. This guy is the shield, which is going to connect to this backside on the left. And that's also going to go to the chassis ground, which is this braided terminal here. And then the yellow wire is going to go to this side on the right. I'm going to get this thing installed, and then we'll wire it back up and go from there. All right, so I did actually end up throwing in that CTS pod. It will have a much smoother throw on the taper. And I know this looks like a total mess of a blob, but basically what I ended up doing there is folding back that leg on the left and then going ahead and soldering the back of that, because we needed two things to go through this terminal, and there just wasn't quite enough room. We need the ground from here and the ground from the shielded cable. These are always a mess the way I do them. I need to come up with a better method for doing those back of the pot grounds. But it is functional. It'll hold really well, and it'll be a nice secure ground. It just doesn't look as pretty as some of the other pros out there. But yeah, this is all good. And then we have our rightmost leg going to this guy here. Nice and secure with a locking washer on there. It's going to last a long time. So now we're going to move on to replacing some of the electrolytics in this amp. And go on from there. This guy's going to be a 25 microfarad. This is a 2 microfarad by 50 volt. And then this guy is a 25. All these everything's going to be 50 volts. And we're also going to replace this resistor. Now this resistor in these amps gets really hot. We're going to throw in this is a 470 ohm, I think 2 watt by design. We're going to be throwing in a 600 ohm as a means of lowering the voltage across the 6v6 tube, which helps deal with that wall voltage issue like I was talking about. And I'll show you what that looks like once we get it all put back together. Okay, so we've got the pod changed out. We've changed out this capacitor and this guy. Next up, we need to do this combination. This is again a 25 microfarad, 25 volt capacitor. We're going to swap that out with a 25 microfarad at 50 volts. You could go up to a 50 here, though. You could do a 50 microfarad, 50 volt if you didn't have a 25 on hand. But then in parallel, we're going to change out this resistor as well. Now this resistor, again, is the 470 ohm resistor that is right here. It's the cathode resistor. And what we're attempting to do here, we're going to raise the value of this to raise that 19 volt voltage, because what's going on in these amps is because our AC wall voltage here is higher than it was in the days when this was made, we are going to have a higher voltage at this node that's coming up through this point, through the transformer. Now, because there's not a resistor here, like if we wanted a lower voltage at the screen, we could change this resistor to a higher value to drop more voltage between these 2 points. But because at this point we're just basically tapped right off the secondary of the rectifier tube, if we want to change the voltage, basically lowering this voltage is the same as raising this voltage. We're changing the difference between these 2 points. It's important to remember that voltage is a relationship between 2 points, so if we can't lower this side, we can instead raise this side up to, again, make that smaller. Okay, so this is a 470 ohm stock. We're going to go up to the closest I could get to 600 in a 3 watt resistor that I like. These are the Vishay metal film resistors. We're going to go up to a 680 and then check our voltages and see where that lands us. And we're also going to raise that resistor well above the board and above the capacitor. What can often happen is this capacitor fails because it's heating up so much from this resistor dropping a ton of heat. So we're going to get this guy up off the board a little bit, put the cap just directly against the fiber board there, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's all done. Okay, so here's the new cap and resistor wired into place. You can see I've kind of moved this guy off to the side a little bit just so it's not directly resting against the wiring here, but otherwise should be good. We're going to move on to the big can cap now. Probably will get my larger soldering iron out for getting these chassis grounds. I'll show you guys what that looks like here too. Okay, so let's go ahead and desolder these wires going to the cap. You can see these other 4 terminals, like these guys aren't soldered. Those are basically just exterior pins going to the shell. This is the new cap we're throwing in there. It's made by CE Distribution. You can get these online pretty easily, and they're decent. I've never had any bad issues with them. They work well as multi-section capacitors. These exterior points, we can see there's 3 20 microfarad at 450 volts capacitors. That's what we have here. We can see those go to these symbols. These are our 3 capacitors. These are the ground points that are all common, which is kind of one argument against a multi-can cap like this. You can't separate the grounds, but this will still work pretty well for what we want to do here. So we're going to disconnect each of these wires, then I'll get out the Big Bertha soldering iron. I like to use one of these. This is a Weller SPG 80L. I believe this is sold as a stained glass soldering iron, but you can see the difference in size between these guys. This is great for chassis, back of the pots and stuff like that, and guitars. So I'll get this disconnected and then show you what it looks like with the new one hooked up. And then we'll move on to the power, new power cable. I can already see some issues we're going to have to address. Mainly this looks like a fused, classic case of fused neutral, whereas we want the hot wire to be what's going directly to the fuse. See, the depth cap is still in place. So we'll take care of some of that, and I'll show you how I approach those things. Okay, the new filter cap is in place. This is the old can cap that was taken out. And again, it's just important here to, now these capacitors are all the same size. And actually in the stock one, it's a 40 on that first node, but a 20 is fine there. That's what the schematic calls for. Yeah, so it's important to just make sure that you're going to the same symbols. You can see there's like a triangle. It's kind of like a Lucky Charm scenario. We got a triangle, a square, and a half moon that associate with these guys on the front. And then our grounds go to those 2 exterior connections, which are going directly to the chassis. The other 2 are just there for strain relief to make sure that it's in there. It's not like other can caps, like on Marshall's, where it has the ring that's holding it in place. Okay, yeah, so onto the power section here. We need to replace this cable. It's frayed, and this is just not a good situation. Maybe is arguably safe for now, but likely to fail, and it's easy to change these out. But we need to deal with something that's a common issue in Fenders from this era, and that is that they fused the neutral instead of the hot wire. So ideally, your black wire here, instead, first thing it should do is go to the back of the fuse, so that if, with this current scenario as it is, this is our hot. So if our fuse blew, we would still potentially have hot on the chassis, which is not good. Or, hot in the chassis, I should say, not necessarily going to the exterior of the chassis, unless there was another issue as well. So what we're going to do is instead have the hot come in, go to the back of the fuse here. Back of the fuse, then instead of going to this side of the transformer, will go to the switch, which will then go to the transformer. And then the neutral will then go directly to the other side of the transformer. We can look at where that is on here. So that's basically just these 2 connections. We want to go through the fuse before we, instead of having the fuse on one side, the switch on the other, we're going to basically take this fuse connection and put it right here to then go through the fuse, then go to the switch, then go to the transformer. This just goes directly back. This is what we would call our death cap, because it basically is connecting the neutral to the ground side. It doesn't do anything in terms of tone. It only potentially causes a problem. That guy's right here. We're going to clip that out as well while we're doing this. And then the other thing is this is our earth ground. That's the center pin here. This needs to have its own dedicated ground, which it looks like it does on the chassis. And then we need to make sure that that ground wire is longer than either of these other 2. So it's the last thing that would be pulled out if something did yank out this cord. So I'll get in there and do that, and then we'll fire this thing up and give it a test and see what's going on. Okay, so we have the wiring for the new AC cable all set up. You can see the black wire is kind of tucked away underneath here. This is the hot coming into our fuse. Other side of the fuse, then it goes to the switch, which then goes to one side of our transformer primary. The other side is just heat shrinked and connected. Now it's not just held together with heat shrink there. That is, the cables are hooked around each other, then soldered, then heat shrink together just for some strain relief. And I've already done a initial power up on the light bulb limiter with this thing. Seems like everything is good, but let's get a little sound test so you can hear that. Okay, so the rectifier tube is turning on. This is just going to be through the lav mic here. I'm not back at the home studio. But you can see we now have a properly functioning volume pot. And I'm going to clean the pot up here, but this is our treble. And bass. All right, so we're all good to go. I am going to power this thing up on full wall power and double check those voltages real quick on the tube, on the power tube, and make sure that that's within the range that we're expecting with our new resistor, and then let it sit for a little bit to make sure everything's good before buttoning it back up. So I'll show you that real quick just to confirm those voltages. Okay, so let's see what we get once things come up to temperature here. We're sitting at 438 on this side. 433, that must be our screen. It's our plate. And then at the cathode, 30 volts. So we're getting about 400 volts across that tube. Should be okay. Should be within spec. Yeah, 444. Okay, and on our preamp, there's our plate and our other plate. Okay. So we should be good. I am going to let this sit for just a little bit with power on it, just to make sure everything's good before closing it back up. But I think we've got another happy champ here. Thanks for watching. As always, we'll be back in a couple days here with the JCM 800 getting all fixed up. Got parts showing up here shortly. So we'll see you for that one soon. Hope you're all having a good day.